I messed that one up.
What's up, babies? Welcome to SydeCast, the show about games and the people who play them. I'm your boy, Tremayne Laughs, also known as I fucking hate hot honey. I'm so fucking sick of it.
No.
Dude.
Don't tell me what you're about to tell me because I had it. Don't say what you're about to say.
I'm so sick of it.
What has hot honey now?
Everything. Fucking everything. Wingstop, Jersey Mike's, Chipotle.
I was about to say
Wendy's.
Chipotle, dude. That Chipotle hot honey chicken.
Get the what? I know what. It's my last thing, y'all. We're packing up that.
He's out of here.
You know, it's fine. I respect you. We homies. Ew. Okay. But you know, I ain't been doing nothing this week. How am I? Thank you for asking. I ain't been doing much this week. Hella pre-releases. Pre-released. I'm sure you good.
The time to demonetized on this video was like 14 seconds.
I'm real passionate about my hatred for hot honey.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm so sick of it.
Tell us in the comment section down below.
Yeah.
Oh my
if you see
God.
this video, because YouTube buries it because we say fuck in the first 14 seconds.
You said it too.
Fucking hot honey.
Oh, God.
Pretty sure we
all
popped the
guilty.
cans and Rachel was like, fuck.
Also true. We were already done for it.
Yeah, okay.
We were already done.
So a
man.
woman ruined it again.
Yeah.
No.
You said it, not us.
First to say.
I figure if I throw myself under the bus, we'll just get it out of the way faster.
But been to a lot of pre-releases.
Won a pre-release.
I did win one. And is it really winning in a pre-release?
I mean, it's coming in first place.
It was casual pricing.
The answer to that is no. It's not really winning.
Exactly.
But yeah,
You
it's
get my
coming in
point.
first place.
You get my point.
Pokemon is very different than Lorcana for pre-releases
This is
though,
very
because if you just get like 2 good cards, it's a 40 card deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get like 2 good cards, you're probably
Especially the 2 good cards I got.
Well, the format's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
whole format.
It's totally
the whole
different.
format is different. It is still, there is still a skill element to the format.
For sure.
But
Oh, of course.
especially recently, the balance of the four decks or the 4
You know, the bet.
there's more than 4, but the balance of what you pull in the build and battles is off. I would say in the last 2 sets really hard.
Yeah.
And then varying degrees before that. But like
In this set, if you got any Hops Pokemon, you're probably gonna be all right.
Yeah.
The Hops deck was good.
Yeah.
The Lilies deck gave you like 1 of Lily's
Yeah.
Pokemon and a Pearl and was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, figure it out.
The Hops deck gave you any Pokemon. You were going to be all right if you got the Hops deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that Corviknight is great also for pre-release
Yeah.
format. And that fucking cram.
The birds, man. It was
That
all
cram
birds.
is
Birds.
crazy.
Yeah.
The Hops build didn't have cram in it.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
No.
well, that's true.
But you just had to pull the cram,
if
which
you
was
got
an uncommon.
the cram, you go.
You
Yeah.
got 2, right?
Yeah, you pulled 2.
Oh, yep.
And the deck had jet energy in it.
Which is
And
crazy.
you only needed one colorless energy to attack, right?
And I pulled 2 Hops Trunks.
I mean, the cram was so good that Jesse ran on Saturday's pre-release. Jesse
One
ran
cram, right?
39 energy and a cram,
Yeah.
and went 2-1.
1-2, he said it was 1-2.
Oh, did he go 1 and 2?
Yeah, I think
I
he
think
only won
okay.
one game.
Oh, he only won 1 game.
But
Okay,
if
but
I
still,
remember-
still,
He came
yeah,
close
sure.
on several games.
Right,
like
yeah.
Oh, because it's a basic.
it's a basic.
Get it out there.
It's a basic. So
Load it up with energy. win.
So Hops Cramorant reads: if your opponent has
Exactly
exactly
three or 4.
3 or 4 prize cards, this attack does 120 damage, right? And it costs 1 energy. So if
Okay.
they have
That's a
5 or 6 or 1 or 2, it has no attack,
Right.
basically, right? But if it's a play on the old
Oh, so
loss.
he's trying to. They have their Pokemon out. They don't have any other ones. He just one hit.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, because we start with 4
You
prizes,
start with
so
four prizes
immediately
in
it's
pre-release.
hitting.
So it's immediately hitting for 120.
Right, but
Yeah.
if they have 2 or 1,
But it doesn't matter. You're going out early, and you're just trying to knock out everything they have.
But it's
so
their
if they,
prizes.
so if they can open 4 of their prizes,
Right.
Their-
So,
Oh, their prizes.
Their
Their
prizes.
prizes.
so if you just keep punching them and they never take a prize,
So you're
you can
going
just keep
second.
punching.
Wait a second.
Yeah. You're going second, you're
Now
getting
I
cram out, and then just whatever's in the active because of pre-release, you're knocking it out. And let's go.
Just spitting everywhere.
The highlight of pre-release weekend for me, outside of my daughter going 3-0 at 2 different pre-releases.
Can it do more than 120?
Yes, if you have Hops Band and Snorlax and all those
Snorlax,
things.
Okay, but not. There's no other effects to it. Like
No.
No. It has one attack.
So him
And
running
that
all
attack-
those energy, it was just like I'm gonna try and just.
Well, because you need 4 cards.
He's going to start it regardless
He's
because
just
he'll just
mulligan
mulligan until he gets it.
mulligan,
Yeah.
cram.
He doesn't want any other.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Pokemon.
want anything because that's the one cram he pulled. So that was what he
That's
built the deck on.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So my highlight outside of my daughter doing amazing at both pre-releases that she played at was watching Jesse like turn 2. He goes second, right? And so he's opened cram. The person he's playing takes their turn, and he's got a handful of energy, obviously. And his opponent goes pass. He goes. Doesn't even look at just draws the top card and attaches it to the Pokemon and knocks their Pokemon because it's all that's there.
Right, yeah.
And it was just so funny to watch.
How'd you know that was an energy?
Yeah, cheater. I wonder what my prize cards are.
Only energy.
Oops, all energies.
Yeah. So it was wild. So this
Because you can mulligan as many times as you want.
Yeah.
No.
You
have
have
to-
no choice.
You have to mulligan until you get a basic.
A
So
basic,
basic,
yes, that's what I meant.
And when you're running one basic,
But that can take as many turns as it needs to. Drawing
yeah.
a basic.
Yeah,
You
and
can
then you're
mulligan
giving
20
your
times
opponent
before
that
you
many
win.
draws.
Yeah.
Extra cards.
Extra cards.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So the cram's broken. We're already talking about Pokemon pre-release. We haven't even done interest. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah.
So what else did you play, Tremayne? You said you played multiple pre-releases?
Yeah, I did the one at Freedom
Nice.
yesterday? Yeah.
Brain work.
How'd you do there?
2-1. I lost
Okay.
to Rock,
Right.
which did not feel great.
It should feel okay.
But we're homies. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, WWE 2K24 officially dropped.
Ooh.
Okay.
Been playing a lot of that. It's kind of fire. Added a lot of features. Already in the lab creating things.
2K24?
WWE 25. You're right. That's my fault.
I was like, damn, that's
Damn.
late.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Really. I
It
feel like
already
it's
dropped
behind.
a year and 3 months
It
later.
dropped.
It's behind. But that's
figure it
been
out.
fun.
I mean, I know 2K.
We're playing
I mean,
a lot of Balatro still.
Mhm.
How's that going?
are you okay?
Is it frustrating as hell?
You know, dog.
Are you tired?
Let me no. Let me tell you something.
Okay, let him cook.
This needs multiplication.
You know, it's
Multiplication.
so funny that you say that
Did you do
because
it
that
too?
was a real problem.
Oh,
Well, so there's like certain cards where I see the plus and I'm like, oh, these are
Right.
cool.
yeah.
And then I'll pass on the multiplication ones because their trigger seems harder.
Sure.
Yeah, like you have to erase like face cards and stuff like that.
you get
Yeah.
for X, these amount of cards you handle.
But those are always
They're
But it
worth
guarantees
it
more points,
when you
right?
do
So
that.
it should be more
the
difficult.
patience that.
Right.
So
Right.
there'll be. At least I've learned. I mean, you've been playing longer, so you guys can chip in. But at least what I've learned is that I'll have a multiply X1 multiplier basically for like 5 blinds.
Mm.
Because it like requires something that like has to trigger, right? It like if you have to erase, you have to delete a face card from your deck, right? And for that to happen, you have to open an Arcana pack and pull this card to you haven't played with that one yet?
I don't think I know what Joker you're talking about.
Yeah, it might have been a legendary that I got
Oh, okay.
off of a stone.
Yeah,
Oh,
Soulstone.
Soulstone, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I know. I'm getting way deeper than I
Yeah,
should here,
yeah.
but like I had but I had an X1 for like five turns or so, and then all of a sudden I opened this pack and it was like choose 2 cards to erase, and and there was 2 face cards. And I was like delete, and it was like ×2 ×3.
Yeah.
And the next turn it was like erase 2 ×4 ×5.
Nice.
So
Oh yeah.
some of those
Yeah.
ones that
So
some of
ramped,
those
yeah.
ramped quick. So
Yeah.
some of those ones that have multiply on them, you pick them for future. Like
Right,
you just
gotta
have to be
patient.
patient with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
It does depend on the time that you're at. Like
Yeah.
It depends
if you're
on
late and
it
if you're
depends on a lot
on
of
Andy
things.
7, you don't want to do something like that.
It depends on the Joker too. Like I call it the Unabomber Joker. It's not supposed to be, but it's just a Joker with sunglasses and a hoodie on.
Nice.
And that gives you 3x if you've already played that hand type that round.
Yeah.
So that one's like super good.
I love
like
that one.
one's super good. If you're building a deck that's just going to play like
High
pairs
cards.
or high cards or something like that, you're definitely just going to start nailing.
So I had that with the what's the Joker that allows you to level up the first hand that you play in a round?
DNA.
Or no, not DNA. That lets you replicate a card.
The first hand you discard. It's the first hand. It's the first playable hand you discard.
First playable hand you discard.
It's the Joker that's on fire. I don't know what it's called.
Anyways, I did that with high card.
Yeah.
On top of the one that you're talking about,
Yeah.
dude. I had like times 25 high card. It was like 400 times 25 high card, and then it was times 3.
Start taking notes.
I mean,
I mean,
I'll listen.
11 with it. Or
There's also
whatever.
Spaceman. Spaceman gives you a 1 in 4 or 1 in 4 chance to upgrade the hand that you're playing.
Yeah.
So that one's really good.
Yeah.
Those are like high card stuff.
I will say though, sorry, I completely.
You're fine.
interrupted
You're
you.
fine.
I
Damn it, Balatro!
I cannot make it
I have
past
a problem.
an 11. There is such a wild
There's a
disparity
huge wall.
from 10 to you go.
Well,
it's
there's the real wall is at 13. So there is a wall at 13 where you go in at ante
You can't
13.
even get to
I
30.
feel
You
like
can't even
I
past
can't even
11.
get to 11. Dude.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm running into. It goes from it's like small incremental jumps
Yeah.
to you play right
To like
Rachel?
a million.
No.
Oh,
I've
okay.
I've turned on the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you go like 2 million, and then the next small blind is like 14 million.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
they hurt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Then so at 13 you're into like you're into
Yeah.
like exponential trillions.
Yeah.
Like so like you it's like
It's too
It's
much
like-
number get big.
it's like 1 billion. It's like
Much number.
it's like
The number
1
is
billion,
big as
2
hell.
billion, and then the big blind is like
No.
1.8 e to the
Yeah.
20th power, and
Yeah.
you're like, and so that's the real wall. That is the one that like so you can basically.
I mean, you've walked through Annie 8 at that point. Like, it was easy for you because you just got the right kind of mashup.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that happens from Annie 9 to Annie 13 that's like is going to make or break whether or not you can actually break through that wall at 13. I've only done it once. I've only ever made it through once.
How many times have you done it? Yeah, me too.
Okay. Yeah. Same.
But
What about you, Ron?
You can cheese build.
The more we talk about it, the less I want to
I
play.
know.
It's starting to become a problem.
It's like,
I'm
oh
like,
my
wow.
God.
We gotta.
There's $12.
We
It's
might.
fine.
Yeah.
We might have to make a decision. Until you two touch it,
No,
you mother effers.
it's okay. 3 of us can be super into
You
something.
can be into it.
Yeah, you can totally be into
But
it.
I
There's a
feel
lot of
bad.
shit that we talk about on here.
No,
that
it's
I'm
fine.
like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we go deep on Pokemon, you're out.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah,
We
it
do
is
that a lot.
what it is.
But John, how are you?
I'm doing great.
We're just trying to
Have
get
you
through the
played
intros.
Balatro? I can't.
So I play, no, I'm just kidding. Josh, aka What Is Happening to Me,
Oh.
Hey, yo.
aka Super Dad, because I had a sick baby this weekend, and that is tough shit, dude. But it allows for a lot of movie watching, and more specifically, animated movies.
Okay.
What is happening to me? Because every time I watch one of these fucking movies now, I cry.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
Wild Robot.
Mhm.
I watched Flow. Has
Okay.
anyone seen Flow?
Mm-mm.
Flow was the 2024 Academy Award winning Best Featured Film.
Oh.
So it's
Animated or
Wait,
best?
I was like,
Animated.
I was gonna say
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
Best Picture, was it?
Animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
animated.
okay.
Did I
Okay.
say animated?
You said feature film.
You said feed.
Yeah.
Animated feature.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
good.
Okay.
So and it was nominated for not. It's just so good. So it's a post-apocalyptic world. This cat. There's no dialogue in the movie. This cat loses its home.
My mom sent me an article about
Dude,
this.
fuck me. I was like glued to the TV. At the end, I'm like uncontrollably sobbing. I'm like, this movie is fucking. It was amazing.
Okay.
So
All right, right on.
yeah, if you get the chance to check it out.
Where was it at that you watched it on?
I watched it on Peacock.
Okay.
Peacock, yes. So if you would, I don't know if Peacocks do that.
They don't.
That sounded like a chicken.
My brain did exactly the same thing, and I was like, "But that's a chicken."
Played Balatro this week. Obviously, I played more of Odyssey. and I took a pretty deep dive into the Lorcana like meta. Like I had a lot of time on my hands, so I started kind of researching things and deck building. And the more that I did that, the more I disliked where the game is at this point.
Oh.
Because I think a couple podcasts ago I talked about how like the meta head there was more opportunity for different colors to play, but the more I looked into it, it's like it is such a blue sapphire heavy meta right now. So every deck that you're playing against is either blue steel or blue red competitively, and that shit drives me nuts.
Just because this group of cards favored Sapphire too much.
They released 3 cards
that are so fucking
that
busted.
are completely fucking broken.
Yeah.
You can get one of them is a bell that you can get her out on turn 1.
She should be a turn 3.
And she's a 3/3.
Yeah.
On turn
Ooh,
1.
golly.
That's a 3-cost card that can sing 3-cost songs. So like last set you had Cinderella, the tiny Cinderella that's a singer 3.
Yeah.
It's a 1/2 though.
Right.
So as soon as it sings a song, you're like, okay, I can just attack this thing.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Now you have a 3/3 on the board that can sing the exact same steel songs. Let the Storm Rage on or Strength of a Raging Fire to kill the people that are coming on the board. Banish, sorry. And you can't and you can't get rid of her.
Yeah.
She's impossible to get rid of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you
it's
can't.
like,
I can't think of anything to remove it.
Yeah.
Not turn 1.
not
Not
turn
turn
1.
one.
Yeah, not turn 2.
Turn 3, maybe.
Yeah, turn 3 you have to
Turn
wait
three.
for.
Quest for.
Quest for 1.
Okay.
If it quested for more than that, it would just be.
It's about the same, though.
Unbelievable.
Right?
Yeah.
That,
It's already pretty bad.
Yeah, the Tamatoa that you can play an item for free with. It's a
Yeah, the Sapphire cards are
it's
wild.
a $60 card,
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
And the price is going up, not
Yeah.
down. Usually after the pre-releases, the price starts to
Right.
scoop down a little bit. The
And
price is
they-
going up on this because everyone is playing
It's going to
blue.
be top
And they, of
tier.
course, made
Which
that one
is like,
enchanted, too.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it. So
Give it
you
like
guys,
2 weeks and somebody will be like, oh, this card that we've all been ignoring that's
Right.
15 cents.
Counters that.
that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
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 I'm trying to be that guy.
Yeah.
because
He's a honey wizard!
I'm a red purple
Yeah.
player,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And I've been through and through.
Yeah.
I don't like to change my deck with the changing meta. I like to maneuver my deck around that shit. So that's what I've been working on a lot this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to play a whole lot like in
Sure.
person, but I've been using illegal sites, Lorcanito, and other things to kind of get games in. So yeah.
Yeah, because you guys got a digital client back, right? No, never mind. I mean,
No.
yeah.
What?
Not official.
Okay. Well, I know that they never had an official one.
Well, yeah.
What do they call Voldemort? You must not be named.
Yes, we don't say
It's called Lorcanito.
Lord Canito.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
so
even knew that.
you upload. Yeah, I told these two
Yeah.
about it in case they wanted to get games in. It's in its infancy. They actually made it better with this set. They had a whole. It's like kind of a newer site now. So if you want to check it out to play
Nice.
games, but you can upload your decks off a Dreamboard, which is a site building
Right.
site,
Deck
deck building site,
Yeah.
and
Dream.
yeah, you can't build sites on it. You can build decks though, and so you upload your decks onto it, and you can play games against other people, which is cool.
Yeah.
It operates kind of weird. Like
Yes.
I played I played 12. I put 12 1-drops in my red purple deck, which
Okay.
is very abnormal. Like
Yeah.
2 sets ago, I was playing 4, right?
Yeah.
But this set, it's like trying to combat the bell or whatever.
Mhm.
But there was 3 games in a row. I didn't draw or mulligan into a single one. It's like,
Gotcha.
okay, that would never happen.
That would never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in its infancy, but it's still a way to play. So
So that's more
they'll-
like PTCGL.
once Disney and
I mean,
Ravensburger
don't-
figure their shit out with
Yeah.
a site.
The answer was hire what's his face that built,
Yeah, Pavel. Yeah.
That was the
Pixelborn-
answer.
Pixelborn was the shit.
Pixelborn was the best. Was the best like online game client.
Yeah.
As a bit of a Pokemon TCG Live apologist, which is it's very broken.
Yeah.
And it has lots of problems. unabashedly, Pixelborn was like
Pixelborn was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it had less to maneuver at that point in time, and I
Right.
get and understand all of that, but like the polish on that thing was insane.
Yeah,
for-
it was really,
for-
really, really
for
good.
like a community led project because you
Yeah.
see the rest of them, and it's just like, oh my god. You
I think that
It made-
I think
it
that
made-
Pixelborn.
it made live look like a community project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it helped like aggressively grow the game.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think so too, because
Yeah.
people
Right.
could try and build decks before they. That's what live does for Pokemon.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Using
so,
stuff that they don't have to go out and buy.
Right.
Well, sort of.
yeah.
As long as you have the cards.
So Walt, if you're listening,
Yeah.
Send
No,
a,
I mean, I think
send,
the
a-
ship-
send a
I think
heaven
the
beam
ship
down.
probably- I think the
Your
ship-
marketing. No.
Ship probably sailed on that one, but
Hell beam.
but
The
I don't know. Probably not. They
What?
could probably reapproach him and just be like, "Hey, here's a check."
yeah. Well, they couldn't approach Walt.
No, Walt. No,
Yeah, he's dead.
Well,
But they could approach. Yeah. He's frozen.
they might
somewhere.
have his head
Right,
frozen
in amber.
It's
Yeah.
in his statue or whatever. It is.
Yeah.
This podcast is so off the
Not
rails.
even close.
We are-
It didn't
We'll get
start.
We
around to that.
completely blew it with the pop top.
Yeah, it didn't start on
So
the rails.
what we're saying is the
It was
camp
never
hop
a
is
trade.
very important.
Very
It's
important.
very important.
It was never a train to begin with. Let's
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
very
No.
clear.
Ron, how are you doing?
Doing all
It's a
right.
group of mini bicycles.
Doing okay. AKA Captain Steam Sale.
Whoa. Yeah.
And like Tremayne, I got a bunch of games that came out this year, like The Witcher 3. I got God of War Ragnarok.
Okay.
I got
Modern release.
I did get Hogwarts Legacy as well. I figured since it was less than $10,
What's Harry
I would
Potter?
only support less than $10.
Okay.
Is it
Yeah.
less than $10?
Yeah, it was like $10.
Wow.
I think that was for like
Steam sale is pretty
My,
aggressive.
my recollection too is that she got paid up front on that one.
okay.
Mhm.
So she's not continuously getting royalties.
I don't believe so.
Okay, fine,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah. I think
I should have opted for the $15 version.
I
The
think
deluxe with the extra
Yeah.
things to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drive.
so
fly?
Katie,
What?
I don't know.
Katie,
Harry Potter?
Katie looked into it because
Yeah.
she was like very much so on the fence on like I don't want Rowling to get money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and
I went down this same rabbit hole.
whether or not that was just like how they managed to still make Harry Potter fans buy the game and just be like, nah, she got money, don't worry
yeah.
about it. You're supporting the developers.
Right, sure.
Right.
And the game makers.
Yeah, and so like
I mean, it seems
that was
dope,
my understanding. My understanding wasn't as excited about the concept of
Yeah.
royalties from video game sales, so
Mhm.
they were just like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll give you big money, and they went yes,
Okay, bye.
or she went yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go on vacation again. The
Yeah.
oh yeah, Hollow Knight. I also picked up.
Oh,
Hollow Knight.
cool.
It was
Oh,
a couple
cool.
bucks.
That's
Nice.
super cool.
Yeah, so I spent like $100 or something like that, but that's probably enough games for the rest of the year in my play base. So, and I really wanted to play a lot of those, especially God of War.
So
Yeah,
Did you play the
so
first one?
Can't wait to hear
No,
about how
but-
the summer Steam sale
I'll be
goes.
okay.
I much preferred the second one.
Well, that's why like everyone that I've talked to is all they think it's more fluid and they like it how it plays better. If I want to watch the story, I'll watch the
That's fair.
story.
You can
know, on
also,
YouTube
if
or
you
something
really
like
need
that.
it, there's a recap at the beginning of when you turn on Ragnarok. It's
Oh,
like,
okay,
hey,
okay.
if you want a refresher of what happened
Sure.
last game.
Boy, there you go.
Yeah.
To me,
You know,
there's the story.
There you go.
Got it.
boy, this mom is kind of crazy, and yeah, that's
All right,
that's
sounds
kinda
good.
it.
I finished Prince of Persia,
Nice.
and we and relevant to our conversation last week about bees dick health. It had I think 5 phases for the final boss.
Oh my god.
Of the thing, and I had to do it about 5 times, and it was on
Like
easy.
like clear
Like
phases.
so, like it was on easy. What?
like clear phases or like health bar reset.
Health bar
phase?
reset.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
I know that's why I'm saying like
Yeah.
Turn the
this is
game
what happened.
off.
No.
Yeah.
So the first one's just the main guy, and then the second one he gets a sword, and then the third one he gets a duplicate of himself, and then the fourth like I'm like
Jesus
holy
Christ.
shit. And then
I would have been mad that the phases were so simple. I'd be like, okay, first of all, y'all just padding this.
well the first time I played it, like the first time through, I didn't get through the first phase. I used all my health, all my healing, didn't get through the first phase.
That's fine.
Right. So then I was like, I started figuring out his patterns and doing all that stuff, and then I got to like the third phase. But then once like the fourth phase was like the fourth phase, I was bee's dick. Like I was right
so
there.
upset right now.
He still had a good amount of health.
Man is melting.
Yeah, he's not well.
It's okay. Just take a deep breath. There's an upside. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, there's the bee's dick of health. I almost lost. There was my last bit of healing, and then I got a really good attack off, and I knocked him out. And I was like, oh god, please be the last fucking bar. Like
Right.
I can't. Like this is the farthest I got. And then, sure as shit. Another fucking bar.
Yeah.
But like then you somehow got like all these fucking powers, like you became
Okay.
like godlike or whatever.
Okay.
So then like all
was
my
easy.
dashes and jumps like were infinite. So
Yeah.
like
Oh, cool.
it basically
So the-
gave you a phase to just fuck him up.
Yeah.
So it's like I know that felt bad,
Yeah.
But guess
but go
what?
to fucking town.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So like that part felt really cool.
Yeah.
See, Drew's back in now.
Yeah.
No, I'm not back in.
Oh
I'm
no,
not
he's
back
not.
in.
No,
not.
just
Unless the credits then said, by the way, when you killed the boss the fourth time, we also murdered the person who decided to do this.
I
So,
also sent you personally in chat.
Here is the obituary.
Yeah.
And the so that was the end of that. So
we've had them in a room all
Right.
these years,
Right, yes.
waiting for
Hey,
someone
Ron
to do it.
finally beat it.
He did it.
man.
Kill him.
He shows up in a box in your
Right.
house.
Yeah.
Jesus, what the?
And then
We're mailing you the remains. Please fill out this form.
Oh my god.
and I
Open the
started
doors and fucking hurt.
then playing Fallen Order. So right now I'm playing through Fallen
Nice.
Order.
Okay.
So I'm about
Nice.
2.5, 3 hours in to Fallen Order. So
Okay.
All right,
still
all right.
running on easy, but like I reinstalled
I'm doing it this week, and I'm gonna catch up to you, and we're gonna talk about it.
Okay,
Cool.
that's fine. Well, I've
We're
already
gonna talk.
beaten it, so I'm just ripping through the story.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because I don't
Oh,
remember it at
yeah.
all.
Oh, okay.
Because
Never
it's
mind.
been like I played it when it
Lost.
first came out, so whatever year that
Five years
was.
ago.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't remember what like I.
It's not actually that old.
No, it's really
No,
not.
it's not. But like
Yeah.
19.
but it's still like it's
Oh, yeah.
incredible. It's one
Yeah.
of those.
And sequel was what, 22, 23?
Yeah, something like that.
2, I wanna say-
Survivor.
I think
Survivor,
it's 23.
Yeah,
23.
I think Survivor might even be.
Actually,
like,
dang,
I'm certain it's 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
I actually researched both. It's 19.
Okay.
Either way, I'm trying to get through the story, and like I love how cinematic and theatrical that shit is.
Oh yeah.
Like just like
Yeah.
you know when the trains are falling and you're sliding and you're missing this, and then all the camera shakes, and then like this, and oh man,
That's so
I
fun.
love it. And
You
then
actually get a taste of that, like,
right away.
30 seconds.
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah,
they do
that's what I'm
this,
saying,
when,
yeah.
when you walk up to the top of the thing, and it's like, here's the.
I
the
love
planet
that
that
they're
you
just
live
like, by the way, this is how this game's gonna go.
Right? Yeah.
And like
they're training
it
you
really,
on it.
It really
yeah.
sets the precedent
Yeah.
for you to know like what you're getting yourself into and if it's gonna be your style or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like the main like train scene at the beginning where you're like getting through, like my heart is just like,
Oh, yeah.
and like, cause you're like, as soon as you leave this grate, it falls off and like it's blown away. You're like, oh, I just missed that, even though it's timed as soon as
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
off.
Right.
But like all of that, like it makes you feel, dude, whatever.
I'm just kidding.
How did you not get to it? It's 30 seconds in.
Because I played for like a minute. and
Okay,
then
all right. So that's not playing.
He just looked at the menu.
I've
for
got
a minute.
more than 5 bars of health.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
Okay,
damn. Damn.
yeah. So, but like all of, I did do the, I saw that because I reinstalled it and then it had like the Play Plus or whatever.
Oh.
So like I didn't realize that was a thing. So
New-
I
like
got
the
all
New
my
Game Plus,
gear.
yeah.
Like so,
Yeah.
like I have my cool Indigo saber and like
Nice.
all of that kind of stuff and my cool ponchos and all that stuff. So
That's cool.
Sweet.
Ponchos. That sold me on Star Wars ponchos. That game
Ponchos?
sold me on Star Wars
Right,
ponchos.
and wearing
Yeah.
one glove,
No, not
one
really.
glove and a poncho.
Yeah.
Michael
Ponchos,
Jackson.
One glove and a
Very
dream,
Michael
baby.
Jackson-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me?
On to you, Drew.
Oh man, Drew, aka
We're making
I'm
a
having an
woman go
aneurysm.
Good one. Great.
AKA demonetized.
No, aka I just discovered something about this obsession. I think I just cracked it.
Yeah.
While you were explaining to it.
Okay.
What you guys saw as existential dread was self-reflection. So think of like 90s arcade brawlers.
Okay.
Okay. The bosses largely don't have health bars. Right?
Right, yeah.
So
They just start blinking.
well, yeah, or there's like damage indicators, or it's
Yeah.
blinking and then blinking faster and blinking.
Right, yeah.
But you still got those like, oh, we got them. But you visually, you're like, nah,
No.
that's a trick,
Yeah.
right? Like, because there's not like, ooh, and
yeah.
I think it might be tied to that, where like that was okay because I knew.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah, like
Sure.
you had active awareness of your progress as it was happening.
Right,
Yeah.
like I'm seeing, but when you give me a health bar,
I understand.
I just got to
means
get it
all
to
of
the
it.
bottom.
Yeah, I just
Right,
gotta.
yeah.
That's the meter. That's
Right,
the
yeah.
100%. There can't be 500%.
Right. If there's going to be 5, then make it 5 bars that are stacked.
Right.
You have to go through each.
Or like
Yeah.
make a color like
Right,
I'm okay
yeah.
with that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like-
oh, it's yellow, but there's red underneath that. I'm doing. There's something else.
But
like,
come on, element of surprise.
Then just get rid of the health bar.
Right, I know,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that would.
We
oh
had
my
the
God,
problem
it'd be so bad.
solved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what bothers me about
Okay.
it. Is like video game had this problem solved.
Sure.
You just don't give it a health bar, and you figure out based on the fact that like the
How they're
boss
acting or how they're
isn't bloody
moving.
enough, or
Right.
they're not
Yeah.
they're not beat up enough, whether
Right.
or not it's gonna
Yeah.
that's it, right?
Right.
You got them down, but like
He
they
starts
don't,
doing this attack during
Yeah.
the second phase.
Yeah.
Would that experience have been worse or better for you if there were no health bar?
I
I think worse. I think worse.
Oh really?
Yeah, because
I
you
think
it
with
takes
that-
you're like, how long is
With
this
that
gonna fucking
example
take?
specifically, I think it would have been worse.
That's
it
what
would
I
have been
thought.
worse just because it's how you're mitigating healing.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if I know he's about to go down and go to the next thing, I'm gonna have like a slight pause to where I could do like my healing thing instead of using potions, so I don't have to burn a potion,
Right.
like whatever.
You'd
Or
learn
if you
all that.
what
You'd learn all of
you
that. just
learn,
the
yeah,
same
yeah,
way.
yeah,
But
sure,
it
yeah,
takes long.
yeah, but
Huh? Would it?
It would take the exact same amount of time. It would
you just
just
sound like
feel
BD,
like it
sound
would
like BD
take
one
more.
there.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think frustrated. This week, I played some video games. I did get a
Oh,
good.
did
workout.
ya?
All right.
Yeah.
Balatro on stream.
I did. I played. I played
You are in fact how I'm learning how to play better.
I am.
nice.
I am.
Nice.
I am playing some Balatro on stream now.
Nice.
I'm catching up. So, don't go watch the videos because they're audio issue galore. But
I was
mean,
gonna
do
say,
watch
I
them.
thought it was my phone,
No, it was
my
me.
potato.
It was me.
My
Your
potato.
phone?
Hot potato.
No. So I was using my headset. I didn't like the sound quality of that going through there. So I took some of the equipment that we were no longer using for stream here
Yeah.
back to the house. I got some mics that I'm testing for this eventual situation.
Mhm.
Instead of buying 5 or 6 of them, buy one and see whether or not it's good.
Makes sense.
And then, and so that was good, except the gain was turned all the way down. And when I listened to it on my phone, I was like, oh, I can hear me. And then when I go back and watch it after the music comes in, the
Right.
mix was bad. So,
yeah,
but we're getting there. We're getting there on that.
takes
But,
time.
but the goal of it is I've basically got pretty much everything unlocked on my phone. But I long time ago deviated from trying to
Do both.
one-to-one,
Yeah.
right? And so yeah, I'm catching up on PC, which is fun because I forgot how much of a roguelike it is,
Okay.
right? Like because it presents so weirdly, right? Like you're not like buying permanent power-ups ever.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
you're always, but you are unlocking those jokers. So
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm playing games thinking like, oh, I'll dig for Baron, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have Baron. Like,
Gotcha,
I don't
gotcha.
even have this Joker to go
Right.
get for this strategy. Like, I got to come up with a worse strategy that was at
Right.
least functioning because
Yeah.
it's not missing a puzzle
Yeah.
piece.
Right.
And then I'm also making fun, stupid mistakes because of that, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, not checking blinds and things, expecting things to go different ways. So
Yeah.
it's cool. It's like an interesting reset on play. Not that I'm like amazing at Balatro or anything
Yeah.
like that, but it's a cool thing to
You've
step
played
back.
enough of it.
I played enough of it.
Do you find it substantially easier the second time around?
No, actually.
Playing with less optimal cards.
Yeah, right.
I think it's actually. I think right now I'm in a pivot of it's actually like harder.
Right.
Because I've been playing. I mean, I'm coming off of like a 6 or so week streak of playing the same deck,
Yeah.
looking for the same stake,
Yeah.
right? Like, and not
Is that the
and
final one?
gold.
Yeah.
Gold is the final stake.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so like after I did that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to PC and unlock everything, right? And so the problem is I don't have what's that?
I connected a dot in my own head.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
This is just all about discovery. This is all about discovery.
This entire podcast is about making Tremayne better at Balatro.
Okay. So no, I haven't found that. I have not. I have found that it's actually harder because like I'm used to having more powerful things.
Right,
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Well, it's
now
like what you were talking about with Fallen Order to Survivor, right? Like,
Yeah,
you're like, well, why
Where's all my shit?
Where's all my shit?
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
And there are a few cards that are like, you go from like, okay, this is like elite, like Blueprint.
Yeah.
I just unlocked it. I was like, holy fuck.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
this card is ridiculous.
Yeah, Brainstorm and Blueprint are the same, just in opposite directions. And then it's like there's like one or two strategies that people have figured out yet to actually beat the game. And the it's like Tetris. The only way you can actually beat it is to max out the score until it breaks.
Yeah,
Which is
right.
called Nane Infant.
Yeah.
Nane Infant.
Yep.
And so there's like only like 2 or 3 builds that do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's it. And because of like how mathematically difficult that is to do. And it's effectively you need Perkio and you need Perkio, Observatory, and so that Perkio starts 1xing for every planet card you have in your consumables that matches the hand that you've played. So you high card, you get a Pluto, you put it up into your consumables, and then Perkio's just making negative versions of it every time you do a new round. So by the time you're done there, you've got 240 one-time X Pluto cards up there, and so you're playing a high card, and it's just going, and Observatory is just going through and going brrr through. That's it. The Baron, Chariot, Red Stamp, and a deck full of Kings is another one. But anyway, it's interesting to like step back and have none of those tools. That's the roguelike portion of it. That's really, really cool. Is because like you don't have any of those.
I think that,
spells
I
or
sometimes I
unlocks,
think that's more. It's more fun. Like requires more thought.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, those walls that you're hitting, like that wall that you hit at 11, you'll break through that. Like you'll unlock enough stuff, you'll figure out enough mechanics, enough builds that help you break through 11 that you go, oh, I know like the 19 different ways I can break through scoring 3 million, right? And then it'll just be up to like, do you get it or not? Was your economy good during the run or whatever?
Right.
So it's been really cool. Balatro is, I mean, there's a reason that it's taking developers' advice from. There's a reason that like major developers are developing card skins for it and just being like no cost free, just like you know. I think that's really cool. I think it's such an interesting thing that's happening in gaming right now, and it works for me.
Yeah. Well, I think the people that are listening that don't know Balatro think we're just saying a bunch of words at random.
Yeah.
You got to play the cat dog with the Pluto around the outside, and then and then if you get the Trailer Park Syndicate card, once you get that,
Don't leave. We'll
leave, stay in
timestamp
there.
the YouTube video. Just fast forward a little
right?
bit.
Yeah, and then there's the monster comes out of your closet. It's probably Randall.
Dude,
beat
monster-
it with a
Monster in your closet is rad. So
I don't know what's real anymore.
spoiler of where I'm trying to go on the thing. There is a Pokemon mod. There is a 151 Pokemon mod that turns all of the Jokers into Pokemon.
All right.
And they they function differently. It's like a complete different reskin of
So it's not just a picture.
It's not just a picture.
Okay.
No, they do different things.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
they all like it's 151 new Jokers that do different things. And so that's where I want to get, because I think that'd be a fun crossover to
cool.
what I'm doing.
I mean, that is cool.
I just like that
I mean, I
it
could just
completely
install
changed
it.
the game.
It completely
like
changes.
that. I think that's
I mean,
Yeah.
it's still playing
game,
poker hands, but
Right.
like the Joker mechanics are
yeah,
all
but how
completely
you
different.
get your score and how the different combos and stuff work.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah,
cool.
and they're like on, like somebody spent time. They're like
Oh,
on
yeah.
theme for the Pokemon, you know, which is
sure.
cool. So that I beat Sons of the Forest.
Nice.
Okay. Very nice.
We beat it last night. The game is really, really fun. I will say, narratively, absolutely, just a wet fart of an ending in terms of an ending for a game. Yeah, I mean, like, all this build up, and you gotta, and you get the special alien armor that you find, like,
We're gonna do it.
like, I mean, right? Like, this started, by the way, as your helicopter crashes lands on Billionaire Murder Island, and you've got to survive.
Right.
And then, like
Now you're wearing an alien carcass.
you're wearing an alien carcass, going into hell, right? And, going into hell. You go down into hell. You get into an elevator box, which is supposed to
Elevators in hell. Okay.
Yeah, there's like an alien elevator box in hell.
Buffy is there.
Which then I'm ruining the end of this game because it's terrible.
I mean, play it because
The game is fun, but the ending
game
is terrible.
fun. But narratively, none of this shit
yeah.
matters. I wish somebody would have spoiled it for me, and I didn't put any of the emotional investment.
Right,
into
yeah,
it
exactly,
to
yeah.
discovering any of this.
Yeah.
You get a time vision flash to an alien planet, which I guess is the alien race that built the elevator to hell.
Okay.
You come back into the elevator, and the two people that you're in the elevator with are upset that it has not cured any of their mutations. Yes, there's mutants on the island, right?
Okay.
And these two mutants are the only two friendly mutants that you meet.
Okay.
They were hoping that the elevator was going to cure their mutations. It doesn't.
I'm surprised an elevator doesn't.
One of them gets mad. One of them gets mad about it. The other one dies? Not really, but dies.
Look at Josh, oh God.
So she's got 3 arms.
I will never play this
She's
game.
got 3 arms and 3 legs. She looks at her arm, it doesn't go away. She looks at her leg, it doesn't go away, and then she just goes, eh. And you catch her, and she's dead. But
This
it's
is
not
playing
dead.
out like a film.
It's all cutscene.
Oh my
all
God.
of this is cutscene.
This is terrible.
Then you
Imagine these writers in the room.
Then you flash cut. Then you flash
Guys, I
cut.
really know what'll do it.
Then you flash cut.
This guy's talking about no extra health bars, and this is the end of his game.
And then you flash cut to back to a vision of hell, and the sulfite, which is like the gold stuff that all the aliens are building stuff out of, and the artifact being formed.
I thought this was a zombie game.
It is.
It's an everything game.
It's everything. It's a cannibal zombie mutant.
Like, do you have one of those drawers in your kitchen that you open up and there's just a bunch of shit in it?
That's
It's that.
Soy sauce.
Okay.
It becomes a narrative
Pictures of
jump
your
drawer,
grandma.
right? Then
Pictures of Tremayne's grandpa.
Then jump cut. There's no narrative, like, you don't break through the floor. It's not like, oh, the elevator from hell has been going up. That makes sense. Then you're just on the surface of the island.
They were just like, how are we going to...
You're just
delete that
on the
scene.
surface, you're just on the surface of the island, and police helicopters are flying towards you.
Police?
And they pick you up.
Not the fucking police.
No. A giant mutant.
What the fuck?
A giant mutant
That looks like a police
comes
helicopter.
out of the ground, grabs the helicopter,
And kills you.
King Kong
and
style.
starts using them as bats.
God.
In the most fucking silly. It's daytime. This isn't nighttime. So it's just broad
You
daylight.
feel safe and not safe at the same time.
It's
Yeah.
broad daylight, and a giant flesh of Jabba the Hutt of flesh is swinging helicopters at you, and he's got. You remember Real Monsters?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you remember the monster that did the big lips?
Yes.
He's got that, and he just kisses out mutants at you during this
Oh.
fight.
Wow.
So he's like,
What is happening? I hope I don't dream about
And
this
I know,
today.
good
That's all I have to say.
and
So what was your live reaction?
this. My live reaction
You're like,
What is going on?
I mean, there had to be a point where they're like, let's just go off the fucking wall so that you're having this reaction,
Yeah.
and then you
Right.
talk about it with
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else.
It had to be.
Yeah.
It had to be.
And
Yeah,
then
there's no way.
And so then you beat this guy. There's no balance for more than one player, by the way. So this fight not hard with 4 players.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like
Gotcha.
like again, anticlimactic, like we're just fucking this dude up. We
Yeah.
all have grenades and shotguns and rifle, and so it's just like he doesn't.
The ray gun.
It can't figure out what to aggro on, so just kind of like standing there. And everybody's throwing grenades from 4 different angles.
Right.
The fight lasts 35 seconds. It's
Right.
dead. More police helicopters flying
For the
in.
love of fuck.
They land down. No, the fight's over, right? Game's over, right?
Right.
They
Okay.
land in. The mutant dude that didn't get
Comes
cured.
back to life.
Uh-huh.
The mutant dude that you didn't get cured and was angry about it. His dad hops off the helicopter
Mutant
and
dad.
he's like, "Son, you're okay." He's like, "Dad, oh my god, yeah." No, he's normal human dad.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
No.
And he was like, "Come on, let's go, let's get off of here." The artifact pops out of your backpack
Okay.
Okay.
and starts glowing and pulsing back towards the island.
Okay.
And you're like, the mutant guys on the police helicopters are like, "Come on, you got it, we gotta go!" And the artifact's like pulsing. And so you basically have this choice of like, do you want to end the game or do you want to like go into like just surviving on the island
Right.
with
I
like,
wanna
no
live here.
narrative,
Yeah.
with no narrative
You're
thing.
like, this
Yeah.
was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm following the artifact.
Yeah. So we're now in the phase of the game, which basically is just Goldfinger.
Right.
You go, we're farming Sulfite and we're painting everything gold.
Gold.
Like that is the phase of this
Oh
game
my
that we are in.
Oh my god.
What a
So-
tremendous.
It is the
Game.
weirdest narrative game that I have ever like even.
And you can't
tri-
stop.
And then it
And
went
you can't
full
stop.
Ender's Game, and you found out that that monster at the end you killed had a family,
Had a
and
family,
was,
and
was
then-
controlling all the happiness on the island, and now
Yeah.
everybody is sad.
And now everybody's sad. Yeah.
Painting shit gold.
Yeah.
Trying to find their happiness.
That was an
was something.
experience.
Yeah. So did that.
Rachel?
Yep. I bought Void Crew.
What's that?
It's a multiplayer game. Looks like instance like you're everybody's on
Steam?
a crew. Yeah, it's on Steam. It's like everybody's on a space crew.
1 minute
trying to help.
synopsis.
And yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I
Oh,
went
I
through
know
the
what that
tutorial.
is.
I went through the tutorial. It seems like it'd be really fun,
Yeah.
but it's definitely you need 4 people
Yeah.
to play.
Mhm.
Kind of like a deep rock galactic, but you're on a derelict spaceship that's broken.
I liked a lot of those words. Deep Rock Galactic Derelict. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Rachel. AKA.
How are you gonna follow that up?
I have no idea.
You're
AKA,
done
how
for
am I
your
gonna follow
cook.
that up? AKA,
right.
I can't open a fucking can.
Okay.
That's fair.
It's okay. We
Uh,
understand.
I Survivor this week.
Nice.
Mostly. I did start a new game, but I'll come back to that. So I forgot that I hit a point relatively recently. I'm past it now, but I don't want to say too terribly much about it. But there is a fight that you get into that canonically there's just no way that you cannot win. Like
Oh,
that is
okay.
just you cannot win this fight.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah.
And you
And
do.
no.
Oh, okay.
But it's frustrating because typically that mechanic that I don't mind,
Mhm.
right, is you're fighting, you get knocked out, and it flips into a sequence that is going to be the inevitable thing that happens, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
like then, okay, for example, let's just say like one of the earlier fights in the game is you're fighting against somebody and like he knocks you out
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh no, of course
R&R.
they escape, and you know you gotta
Oh,
chase them.
goodness.
R&R,
Right, yeah.
so you gotta chase them.
They're
right?
gonna leave me alive. Yeah.
This particular instance is not that. You have to defeat them for you to still inevitably lose the fight.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So you have to get the health bar
Yeah.
to speak,
Yeah. Yeah.
Bees do.
and then no
Amazing.
matter what, the outcome is still you lose that fight.
Got it.
Like narratively.
Narratively.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And so
okay,
my
okay.
frustration with this,
So their
Yeah.
health bar has to get that low for
Yeah.
for them to
For
then
that
kill
to
you.
Just
trigger.
triggers. Yeah.
Sure.
and there's
Yeah.
multiple cutscenes
Yeah.
to show different phases. Now the health bar does not regen,
Right.
but
Right. Yeah.
but it's very frustrating as a player your second time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's really frustrating your first time because you're looking at it and you're going, I can't win this.
Right,
This
yeah.
is literally impossible. That's
Right.
not how this is going to work. And to my mind, you did this for people just to say I did it.
Yeah.
Like just to say that it was a thing that you put in the game. You could have created the story scenario
Right, yeah.
without this combat interaction
Sure.
that frankly is a waste of time. because the outcome is never going to be different.
I feel like this character is probably very strong.
I'm having a hard time following. What happens if you die doing the fight?
Oh,
Like,
and then you
then
start
you
over.
restart.
Start
Yeah.
over.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
understand what
so
you're
if you
saying now.
die,
Okay.
you have to start over.
Right.
The only
You
way to get
have to get
you have
them,
to win. You have to
You have to
win.
win.
But if you
before
lose
lost.
0 health over the course of the entire fight, and then once you get him down to the trigger thing, you lose anyways.
That doesn't bother me, I think, as much
But you don't
as what-
lose, right? It's
No,
not, you make it past that.
We
that
make it
point
past
of
the
the game.
encounter, but
You
you
make
lose
it past
the fight.
the encounter, but you lose the fight. So no
Right.
matter what, you
You
are
can't
going to
beat them.
lose the fight.
Yeah.
But if you
Narrative.
die, it
Yeah.
does not trigger the same thing.
Right.
It triggers that you have to go back
Right.
and win.
I see
Yeah.
what you're
I mean,
saying.
yeah.
Like-
There's a lot of games though that like you still won the fight. Essentially, you won the
You-
fight.
Right.
There's a lot of games where you
This is going to play so well into the main topic for today.
there's a lot of
If we
games
get
where
to
you
it.
win the fight, but that character still lives and they move on, and you have to do a bunch of other stuff to then face them
Sure.
again.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I think this is narratively you lose the fight.
This is narratively you
Like,
lose the fight
this
because
is
of
their-
an
like-
interestingly there's an interesting switch in players.
Gotcha.
And that's all the
And
more
that's all
I
she'll
can
say.
say.
I see.
Um,
Do you lose abilities and
No.
No,
I think- I
just
don't know what's
narratives.
happening,
Yeah.
but let's in Star Wars, let's assume like you get them down, they're like, you know, tabletopped, they're difficult, and then like, you know, you go to final strike, blow them, they come up, force choke you, throw you off a cliff, and you have now lost the fight. You're not dead, but you
fight
did
is
not
lost.
win that fight.
Right.
because
Pretend you're
now
Anakin
falling-
Skywalker
Right.
facing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then you're just about to win, and then he cuts your arm and leg off and lets you burn into magma.
It seems like,
story.
it seems like they could have had 2 different forks to that same outcome, which
Yes.
is
Or
like
it's the same one.
they best you,
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it goes this
and
way.
it goes this way, and then you best them, but they in a rally best you,
Right.
and it goes the same way.
That's exactly what I would have liked to have
Right,
happened.
right, yeah.
right.
But because no matter what, they are going to best you.
Yeah,
Right,
Right.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
what
yeah,
I
but
would-
I'm so deluded that I would have been like, I won.
yeah. I did the thing.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I fucking won.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
you know,
what?
there's a sense of accomplishment,
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
in the health bar. But
Sure.
what's frustrating for me, having done this before, is I already know
You're gonna
Yeah.
lose.
I'm losing.
Yeah,
so
right.
god damn it.
You're
So
like,
when you have to
or-
restart,
okay, it's
So when I
probably
have
it's
to
probably
restart-
way more frustrating the second time.
It's
around.
infinitely
Because the
more
first time
frustrating the
around,
second
you
time.
don't know
Yeah.
you're gonna lose.
Right. You don't know. That's fair. The first time is fine, but in a replay, it's
But now
not
when I go
great.
to play the game,
you won't know.
I won't.
Yeah.
You won't know.
I'll forget.
You are so many hours out from
Yeah.
that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the
See, I
first
think
game.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
So-
you are so
in-
many
in-
hours out.
He's still on the start menu.
Yeah. There
Well,
is
no,
a-
no, the game is almost fully downloaded.
Oh,
Fair.
okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
In any replay of any game, I hate anything where I'm just doing something to trigger something.
Right.
It
yeah.
is frustrating.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the one part that's
The
frustrating.
false choice stuff plays once,
Yeah.
Yes.
if it plays once.
If it plays once.
But it,
Yeah.
but it, you cannot bank a replayability on a game
Yeah.
on a false choice.
I
You
was
have to have
I was
false
so
choice.
frustrated that to the point that I was like, why am I doing this on Grandmaster? I'm just gonna put it on story mode and end it.
So you lost quite a few times.
I lost quite a bit. I mean, it's a tough fight.
Yeah.
It's a very tough fight.
That
And
would
so
that would piss me.
because I'd already done it, I was like, just put it on story mode. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. right.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
wanna-
gonna try it one more time, and if I fail, I'll put it on story
Is
mode.
this
And then I
fight
got
against
it.
Darth Vader? Yeah.
I would have to assume. That,
Yes.
that was my guess.
Oh, so here's what I was gonna say. That's the only saving grace
Is that it's Vader?
is
Right.
that it's Vader because narratively you know you aren't beating him.
Right.
Because if you beat him, none of
no
that's
story.
over.
and that's
Yeah.
why I said canonically,
Right,
Right,
you
yeah.
cannot win.
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
that's not a fight that you can win.
So,
Got it.
but yeah, then they also need to just give up the ghost on that one and just,
And
be,
just be
like,
like,
he
if
beat
you
It
you
had to be a
because
full
you suck.
ass
Yes.
whooping cutscene.
Yeah.
If he gave you an ass whooping, he gave you an ass whooping. Just
Yeah.
let it be
Yeah.
what it
Let
is,
it be
because
what
he's
it
gonna
is.
give you an ass whooping
Yeah.
no matter what.
You just get the little, you get the Josh
Like, I beat
self fulfillment
Vader.
of
Sure.
like I almost got Vader.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
which to me
yeah,
means nothing.
which is a W.
That's how I am with everything. If I lose like 20 to 18 in Warcraft, I'm like,
Yeah.
basically.
He's so fucking
Right, yeah.
So that's more or less where I left
You
off.
never
I'm
had
doing a
your
lot of
cock.
world exploration
Okay.
right now, and I'm like 2 phases away from what I believe is the end portion of the game. But I'm
Okay.
going for 100% complete
Yeah.
in this game.
Nice.
Nice.
So collectibles, I've opened up all of the map triggers
Yeah.
and all of that stuff to get
It's my favorite
full
part of games
completion.
like
You're
this.
gonna love this then,
Yeah.
because there's so many great collectibles and such. Anyway, so there's that, and then I also downloaded Ori and the Blind Forest. Yeah, so that's my
It was like
next.
$3,
that's next
right?
on my
Have you played
agenda. I did the tutorial of how the game works.
But you've not like
I've
you're
never
just
played
not
it before.
replay.
No.
Oh,
man,
you're
I'm
in for it.
super
Yeah.
excited.
Golly.
So this is my other like one of my other favorite styles is like the things that are emotionally
Yeah.
gripping,
Mhm.
and I do like a platform that
Yeah.
has I do like a platform game. They're not my all-time favorite, but
Right, sure,
like
yeah.
it's my roots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So I get into them still.
Yeah.
Especially
Perfect
like,
game on a Steam Deck,
like
though.
it's beautiful
Yeah.
on the Steam Deck. And like Spiritfarer is one of my favorites.
Oh, I love Spiritfarer.
Mhm.
So good.
Stab you
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
heart and rip it out. If you want to cry the whole time you play a game, I highly
That's a
recommend
good
Spiritfarer.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
No, but it actually is a beautiful game. It's beautiful in its storytelling and
Celeste
its
is
aesthetically.
another good one.
Okay. But yeah, so Ori and the Blind Forest
Cool.
is up next, and that's me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
How'd we do on shortening the intros?
Super great.
Fucking
Was shortening
terrible.
the intros a goal? I think it was just shortening the podcast as a whole.
No, shortening the
Well, it's
intros.
been an
is
hour.
definitely- It's been an hour.
It was definitely a goal.
Stick around, folks.
It's fine.
Thanks. Now that you've
Now that you've gotten to know us.
Right, yeah.
So, big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's Niantic and Scopely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
Let me delete my Pokemon Go real quick.
No, don't do that. Don't do that yet.
Not yet. Wait it out.
Can
so
always
yeah.
sign back in.
This one's interesting. So, I actually went back and forth with Katie on whether or not she wanted to join the podcast for this one.
I was
'cause
curious
this
of her
is-
perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't. The reason that she didn't join yet is because she's withholding judgment. Like she's,
Yeah.
but like she's trying
Not
not to
enough
get
info.
too swept up in the fervor of
Mhm.
like there are people that are moving their entire Pokemon Go collections into Pokemon Home,
Yeah.
which is non-retransferable. You cannot take them back into
Oh,
Go when
gotcha.
you do that.
Yeah, that's big.
They can go into the games, so they can go from Home to any like
Right.
Scarlet Violet and all that stuff, but they can never go back into Go. It's a one-way
Gotcha.
transfer.
So
out.
fill the people in on what happened.
Yeah, so
And me.
so about 3 weeks ago, it leaked out that Niantic was looking for a buyer
Mhm.
for Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Go, obviously owned by the Pokemon Company as a Pokemon owned by a brand, developed by Niantic, the people that made they ended up making the Harry Potter one,
Yeah.
but their first game was a game called Incursion, something along those lines,
Okay.
which was the same kind of concept of geolocation,
Okay.
like play live on your phone. You
Mhm.
get to party, you take bases, you take areas,
Mhm.
a lot of the same stuff that you do in Go with like gyms and
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But in 2016, Pokemon Go, I think everybody kind of knows, you got on your phone and you caught Pokemon out in the real world,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's still very alive and well. It's still got a massive community. There are
Yep.
still weekly events. There are still
That game
community-
was at the time like world changing.
It was world changing.
People
sure,
were
yeah.
people were losing weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was like
Everything was.
everything.
Yeah. And so like Niantic has developed it since 2016 until now. And they found a buyer for it. And I think like $3 billion they sold it for.
The 3 points off.
Damn.
Which is interesting. So the thing that's the most interesting thing to me about this is like how.
Right.
Like this is the first time I can recall an unlicensed IP game
Mhm.
being sold by the people that developed it,
yeah. Right.
not
Not the
The-
IP.
the owners of the
Yeah.
IP.
That's
Right.
interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so
Gotta happen.
so like how is Niantic able to even go like
We're
we don't
selling
want to
this.
develop we don't
Yeah.
want to develop this anymore, we're
Right.
selling it.
right.
Right? Like, how is it not the Pokemon Company that goes like? Because there's all sorts of interesting tie-ins that like the Pokemon Company like supports this game. Like
Right, yeah.
you know, my wife goes and plays at the same regionals we do at TCG. You know,
Right.
play at
Yeah.
TCGs and video game and all that sort of stuff. They have Pokemon Go competitive and they give scholarships out and they did an entire Pokemon TCG set based on Pokemon
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Like so like the Pokemon Company owns the Pokemon. They own the IP that you're making this game over. We've certainly seen IP owners move developers and go, EA is no longer developing this for us. XYZ is. But this one seems to have been initiated by the developer. Which is really interesting.
That's weird. You think it was some form of loophole in the contract or something?
I have
It
no
had to
idea.
have been something like that. I mean,
I have
Pokemon's too big to allow.
I mean, it can't just carry over a license.
So here's what's interesting. What's interesting about it is that this is the first Scopely game that I am that looking into it that I'm aware of that they're taking the whole team.
Yeah.
Like Scopely's buying the development of Pokemon Go. And so the people at Niantic, the lead who announced this, it was actually the lead developer that announced it, the guy in charge of development for Niantic for this, announced that it was happening, said hey, I started as a programmer for this. My kid was 2 when I started developing Pokemon Go. I brought the first beta phone home with a beta version on it. And my daughter caught the first Pokemon that any human being has ever caught on Pokemon Go, so this means that my family's lost weight. I've had people that were that had stayed, that had diabetes that no longer do, so that this is important with me and I'm going with it, right? And the team is going with it.
I was gonna say it's too good for them to.
And so the question
developers.
The question is that part of the deal? Did the Pokemon Company go, fine, we don't care who owns the company that's developing it, right? We don't care whether Niantic owns the Pokemon Go team or Scopely owns the Pokemon Go team. We just care that the people that have been developing it, that we have working relationships with, that we talk about the ins and outs of what the competitive season's going to look like and all that sort of stuff. Because there's a Pokemon Go event at every Pokemon TCG regional. Right? So in game there's evidence that a Pokemon a Pokemon regional is happening in your town. And so
this seems like news to me, but also like a big nothing. Just a massive lateral move.
The interesting component about it is Scopely's owned by the Saudi Arabian government.
Okay.
So that's very different than
never mind.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go has the most
every
massive
other game every other game that they've bought has just kind of stagnated. They're oh well, we leave it in the studio's hands. That doesn't mean they're gonna fund the studio. That doesn't mean they're gonna think. And then they add pop-up ads into games that didn't have pop-up ads and all that sort of stuff.
Fucking suck.
And so Pokemon Go's got ads in it, but it's sneaky. It's it's
a balloon floats in and you hit the balloon. It's a McDonald's.
It's like Giovanni's balloon has a McDonald's logo on it. It's the bad guys are here. Buy a Big Mac. And I mean, and Pokemon's always had McDonald's tie-ins. They just did the card.
They just did
the
that,
TCG one through Happy Meals.
I don't know, but the big worry is the gigantic database of everyone's geolocation information that I feel like who are we giving that to?
It's being bought by a studio that's owned by a government. Goes
a little icky.
That's a little icky, right? Or
imagine if our government bought it.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel much better. I wouldn't feel.
What are you going to do with that information?
Right.
So.
And then for the players, it's just a concern of Pokemon Go is an expensive game to play, right? And so the people that are playing it playing it at a high level, spend a decent amount of money playing it every single month. And them going okay, now this is going here. Do I still want to go? So all of them being faced with do I want to continue supporting this game that I've played for 7+ years or whatever? It's weird, I mean, it'd be like Blizzard selling WoW to Russia.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you just kind of go oh God, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the ick that's associated with it. But the team that's the team that's making it is still the team that it's still the same people. The creators are still.
So the game's gonna function the exact will probably function the same way. Will hopefully function the same way.
Fingers
But
crossed.
it's just the back end stuff that people are worried about.
Well, or
See what I'm
Or they'll
or
throw in a bunch of ads and shit.
or Scopely's like, yeah, oh, by the way, your budget next year, we paid $3.5 billion for this, so we can't have a $4 million development budget.
Right.
We've got a $1 million development budget,
Yeah.
Good
and
luck.
now you're like lead developers that are all making $150,000 a year
Yeah.
aren't in budget anymore,
Right.
because you got to find some new, fresher people
Yep.
and they can't adapt to the problems. They can't.
Right.
And so it's just like, keep the lights on, right? As somebody who works in IT, who has been through mergers and acquisitions, sometimes the money turns into, is it working?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for now. Well, then we don't spend money on it.
Right.
And it's
Right,
like,
yeah.
but if we don't spend
Well,
money
right,
on
yeah,
it,
we're gonna have
we're
problems
going to have
later, yeah.
problem in like 3 months.
Okay, well, we'll deal with that in 3 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so that is a legitimate fear, even if it's not a concern that you have to worry about at this point in time.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll just
And-
replace it all with people using AI.
Yeah.
Segue king right there.
There it is, baby.
Yeah. So that's the other bit of unfun news.
Yeah, that was, I mean, just I already forget the sort, was Vice?
It was Vice.
Yeah. I mean, but I've seen the clips of the interview. Where did her name go? My God. Where did her name?
If
Ashley
you don't
Birch.
know it,
Ashley
okay.
Birch.
Okay.
It was. I knew it was in here.
The voice actor.
Voice actor of Aloy, yes, Ashley Birch was. They're basically what I saw and what I read, and feel free to jump in here.
Yeah.
True, is that they are doing AI testing for voice acting as replacement. We might as well give up on that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what immediately came to mind and what she was highlighting was the reality that like this can infringe upon my line of work,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Big time.
Definitely.
And so they're testing the AI communication that they're testing is like as player holding remote, walking Aloy through a forest, and you say, Aloy, how's it going today? And she has a response. But it's not Ashley Birch giving you those lines. It's not Ashley Birch actually responding, right? And maybe it's not voice clips that are that are static.
Together, yeah.
It is
Oh,
AI
yeah.
responding
Right,
to
yeah.
you
With her voice.
with her voice.
great, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And that's the phase that they say they're in right now,
Right,
and that's
yeah.
how they were demoing it. And it's was it Sony that was actually? I think it's Sony
Sony.
that actually was testing it, but Gorilla has not signed off and said anything about
Okay.
this. So it's Sony that was testing it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but Gorilla still owns Aloy.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
a one instance, right? So
Right.
my question, concern, etc., is bigger field picture of what does that mean for these amazing voice actors who've brought our games to life for the years and years that they have,
Yep.
and what a special art that is very near and dear to my heart.
Agreed.
I'm sure even more so for you than
Yeah,
me.
Not me. I don't care.
He doesn't care
Who
about that.
cares? Yeah.
No, Ron, the voice actor, doesn't care about that.
Voiceover has nothing to do.
Ron Santoro voice doesn't care about. Anyway, I'll let you take over
Right,
on that
yeah.
because I'm
No,
sure you
I
have
mean,
thoughts.
and a lot of those like game again, it's game business, right? Like so, they're always trying to find the whatevers. But I mean, it's really comes down to how they're going to use things and why, right? And in voiceover and that kind of stuff, it's getting increasingly easy to build models and train your voice, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I've had long customers that I've dealt with for, a year and a half doing recordings on a daily basis, every day. And then all of a sudden it's gone
Mhm.
without like we're just going to try to do something else. Okay. Well, like, like that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
But like they have a massive 1.5 year database of my voice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like if they just wanted to cut me out, they could just train an AI model with my voice and then just type up the stuff
Yeah.
and then have it do it on a daily, instead of
Mhm.
actually paying me.
Mhm.
So that's like the super bummer aspect of it. And it's so Wild West right now too. Like there's no regulations or anything on this stuff.
Right.
Obviously there's a ton of models and stuff overseas and stuff that are doing like famous people. So like they have all these models of Dwayne The Rock Johnson and like,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. And then they're just selling them out to whoever buys it. It's wild. So like, it's scary and it sucks. But again, like I get it if it's like for a quick turnaround just to test something, you know, whatever, as long as they're going back and this is the actor of this,
right?
You know, like what I see AI like as a good tool for is like people that are doing basketball commercials or something like that, the date and times change. You know what I mean? Where like your main point is check out the Cavaliers, you know, blah, 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 this, that, whatever. And then your voice is modeled and then it just says Friday, you know, December 13th. And that's it. Yeah. You know, like that makes sense. Cause like the stuff that's like, I don't want to do that and hop on and just say a fucking date. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like I can see that kind of stuff, but I don't know.
Well, yeah. So the AI in art thing is like a really. I have a ton of friends in art.
Yeah.
I once upon a time fancied myself a bit of an artist.
Yes.
But I have a lot of friends in art and drawing art and you know making films and voice acting and all sorts of stuff. And no one has reached a consensus on whether or not this thing is good or not. That I will say.
Yeah.
I will like you hear a lot of the people that are very, very anti, very forward and being like, I won't do AI art, right? Yeah. But some of my very successful artist friends are like, I use it to do all my mock-ups.
Yeah. Right,
Right? Like I go, I've trained my own.
Yeah.
I type in what I want it to go. It gives me like 5 different thumbnails and I go, hell yeah, I'm going to do that one. And then I redraw it.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, and
the final version is using the skills.
The final the final version is using my skills and but instead of me giving like a quick 5-second thumbnail sketch up that the customer just can't wrap their freaking head around.
You can see it.
And I can see, they can't see it. I can give them like an actual quasi-realized version of what it's going to be, and be like, but it'll have 5 fingers.
Something like this, but personalized.
You know? And so, like, there's something to that, and I would even so in commercialization say like, there's a lot of value to being able to have a computer automate something for you, and offer your services at a cheaper, more affordable price. If what's happening is we as consumers, so we have one of 2 options.
Okay.
I'm just going to be very clear on this. And yes, a lot of my personal socio-political ideas are going to come out in this, and fine. You have one of 2 options. We can all sit around with our thumbs up our asses and waiting for a government to do the right thing and put regulations in place that say we're going to protect artists. Right?
Yep.
Or we as consumers can do that. Right? And so like we as consumers can say, I'm not opposed, or I am opposed, whatever it is. I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? Like say, I'm opposed to using AI likenesses, period.
Right, yeah.
I'm not supporting anything that has AI created art in it. Or I'm opposed to using AI art without consent.
Right, yes.
And I'm not supporting anything that's it. Because at the end of the day, there's an old political commentary comic on this, like the 1%, the political leaders, whatever it may be, they're all standing on a board that is cantilevered over a cliff, and the only reason they're not falling off of it is because we're all standing on the board keeping them there.
Right.
So like it does fall apart the moment we stop partaking, right? Yeah. And so like if you want
Sounds
Sony
like
to
anarchy.
Yeah, it does. If you want Sony to stop doing this, whenever they release the first game that does this,
don't fucking buy it.
Don't buy it.
Right. Yeah.
And be extremely vocal about the fact that you're not buying it. But on the other side of that, they have another option. They have an option to say, hey, Ron, we want to license your voice. We want to build an AI model.
Royalties.
We're gonna pay you in perpetuity, just like just like we used to. Just like they paid I Love Lucy royalties for every time we replayed that same show over and over and over again. We sent them 15 cents an episode every time it aired anywhere. Every minute it aired anywhere. Ron, you're gonna spend 2 months training this AI. and every time we use it, we're gonna send you $100.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're already doing that, kind of. Some people are.
But
Yeah.
that then requires us as a society to go, you got to be transparent about that shit.
Right. Yeah.
And
It's
it
the transparency
is-
is the problem. Yeah.
And even if it's not transparent from like a consumer to thing,
Yeah.
Ron should be able to
Oh,
go
yeah,
and
that's
say like, I'm suing you for using my likeness without permission.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't
Right.
get company XYZ. I didn't give you permission
Right.
to do this. My contract is with company ABC,
Right.
and I don't care where your ties are. We don't have a contract. I didn't see
Yeah.
money from this, and you are using my likeness to do this.
I know
right?
a lot of my voiceover
Um,
buddies, or a lot of the people in the voiceover community, actually like made posts saying, "I do not give like they had just like a post like I give no
Yeah.
no
Right.
permissions to anybody to use my likeness or whatever in any kind of AI
Sure.
model building whatever." Like so, all of them have these posts and stuff up just so that they say, "I have it here. Like here's my disclaimer."
Right.
But like there's still no legal regulation. Like there's nothing still right now. So
And I hope that we get there. Like
Yeah,
I hope that
same.
whether regulations come in place or not, at least inside of like civil court, we can start to find some ground where we support the human element. Because at the end of the day, computer tools, what we're talking about when we talk about AI is a computer tool,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
We're talking about when Photoshop came around 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it was a
Yeah.
lot easier and more accessible to make digital art, right?
Right.
And like art has always been racing with technology,
Yeah.
and new people are always coming into the space and using that technology to create art in different ways than people expected. What we don't want to see happen is the automation
Right.
and the exclusion of creative jobs when we could be automating things that are painful for the human existence.
yeah, tedious and cumbersome. Yeah.
Right. And so like
That's the point of robots.
and so seeing it happen so quickly and so frequently in the art space,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we as a culture have to decide globally
Yeah.
as a culture have to decide whether or not we value art. And that's kind of what's at the state of this.
Cool.
is
Neat.
like,
The answer's always no for non-artists. So.
what's that?
I said the answer's almost always no for non-artists or appreciative of the arts.
I think it's less that we value art and more that we value the artist.
Well, I mean, I think everybody values art. I mean, I think if we're not valuing art,
I'm saying we have to come together and say, do we not do we value the art?
Yeah.
Do we value the artist?
well, you don't get
Because that's what's at stake here.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, I see
honestly,
what you're saying.
AI can make the art.
As someone like you guys game more than I do, I wouldn't call myself a casual gamer, but as someone who doesn't game as much as you guys, I probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between her voice and the AI version of her voice, right?
Well, it'll definitely get there in 5
Eventually.
years.
That's
no matter
exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
This is an inevitability.
Yeah.
Like, it'll come to the point where I'm playing this game, I can't tell the difference. So it's less do I value the art because guess what? The art's the exact fucking same. It's the artist that is no longer the same.
Right.
Yeah.
The question will become: will it be like? Will it ever? Will it ever be able to rep? I think at the point in which it's able to instinctually start making the same emotional judgments
Right,
that a human is making, we're talking about sentience, and
Yeah.
now we're having a different conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we're like, now we're
Now we're
talking about.
Skynet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now we're talking about like.
Is it real?
Yeah.
Is it alive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, because I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing that's missing whenever AI writes an email for you, or
Yeah.
if
Right.
it's an approximation of a conversation. It's an approximation of
And they all
human
sound the fucking
emotion.
same.
And they all sound the same because they've all been trained on copious amounts of data that all come in the same blah 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 of
Right.
whatever,
Right, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, complete and total transparency. Anybody who's been following what we've been doing on this so far, we're using AI to edit our stories. And it
Right.
puts together a bunch of really quick 30-minute thumbnails. It puts it in, and then I go in and I do the wrapping touches
Right,
on them.
yeah.
I
Right.
make sure that the camera angles look quasi decent
Right, yeah.
and things. But it takes what was taking Ron to do one a couple of hours,
Yeah.
and then me like a bunch of time to even approach and look at doing. It boils it down to a 30-minute task for me.
Right,
We
yeah.
still get to
Right.
put our creative edge on it. We still get to make it. We still get to have the final creative voice on what is or isn't in
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Like it's not like, well, it's just this or it's not.
But again, it's a tool.
But it's a tool.
Yeah.
And I think as a tool, it could be great for artists.
Sure, yeah.
I think for a tool, it gives more accessibility and things like that. But we as the consumers of art, which some of us have feet in both realms, but in any time that we're interfacing with it's where we have to start holding everybody's feet to the fire,
Yeah.
right? And if you are somebody who is using AI art models to make stuff, like, and you didn't traditionally have like any video editing skills or illustration skills, but you've learned the skills to use
Manipulate
these
AI.
tools and create art with it.
Yeah.
It's also really important for you right now to have the backs of the people that paved the way for you to get
Right,
here.
yeah.
Right.
I learned it from somewhere.
It learned it from somewhere, and it learned it from scraping the internet. And I'm not saying what you're not doing is not creating art. I'm not
Right.
gonna do that because like I've also tinkered with AI
Sure,
art models, and I don't get the thing that comes out that some
Right,
of these
yeah.
AI artists do
Right.
with the consistency and all this sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
Right.
But it's your job to be allies and advocates for people creating digital art or traditional art to say, okay, you can't use me to replicate them. You can't
Yeah.
I'm a different thing, and this is a different thing, and it's still art. It can still be
Right,
art.
still be creative.
It can still be creative, but we can't use this to cut out somebody else that's doing something different. And to
Right.
promote the value of that and the value of what you're doing differently, I think is really important for anybody that's entering the space as a mass production AI artist.
Gotcha.
It's weird. It's a weird freaking time. And I'm quasi excited for the past this point where we are talking about is it sentient?
Yeah.
I am.
Whatever. It can't get any worse.
Yeah. Load me up into a robot. I don't
Right,
give a
yeah.
shit about this flesh bucket.
Tractor beam.
Respectfully.
Chappie my ass.
Fuck that. Fuck that. But
Chappie.
to piggyback kind of off what
Yeah.
everyone said, I think that idea of having AI be responsive is great in theory. And I think in conjunction with AI, because I assume voice recording a bunch of responsives would be tedious to your point.
Yeah.
So if you use
Take a
the
tremendous
voice
amount of time.
actor for the main game, and that one feature is AI made.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is like what I would hope in my pretty little happy utopia
Yeah.
where artists are still appreciated.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree with you that like if Aloy, so if Ashley Birch is Aloy
Yeah.
through
Right,
the
yeah.
game, right, and we're
Every
getting
cutscene.
and the cutscenes
yeah.
are Aloy,
Mhm.
and the interactions that are already decided. That's
Right, yeah.
That's Ashley Birch, and then the pieces and parts that would be fun for you to be able to, as person controlling Aloy,
Yeah.
right? If that's something
Sure.
you would get into, to be able to do that and say, what'd you think of that monster? That was nuts, right?
Right, yeah.
Exactly. Some shit like that.
Okay, shit like that. That could be fun. So
See the balls on that thing?
That motherfucker was big, wasn't it?
As a language learning model, I won't comment or perceive the balls of any-
And then I'm like, well, fuck.
but yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, as long as
But then
she's
can it be in
still-
different langues?
Well, that's actually a good point.
I mean,
That's actually a great point, actually.
I see
You want me to
really
wibbles?
cool stuff so to talk about the positive portion of it. I think if the multi-million and billion-dollar companies do the right thing and pay the voice actors to train these models, right?
Yeah.
It will be awesome. Like when you're in a game where you're a silent protagonist and you're the one voicing that narrative,
Yeah.
and now instead of in our next like Bethesda game you have 6 drop downs and you're like, I I wouldn't say any of these in this situation, right? Like even role playing the character, my answer's not on here right now. There's a cool concept to be able to pop your mic open and go like this. And then pop the mic up and be like, "Hey, game," you know.
Hey, what's up? Born in the '80s.
To speak your response to the cinematic that's happening, and have it adapt again in the voice with the inflection of the artistic desires of somebody who's acted and put their soul into that character.
Right.
With their permission and with them being fairly compensated for that reality, I think that's a really cool experience for gamers to be able to have.
For sure.
So we don't want to throw that baby out with the bathwater. Because I think everybody's just on the page of like, pay her.
Right.
Right? Like the gross part about this is that she didn't know about it.
Right.
The gross part about this is that she's finding out of it through the same Twitter's post that like everybody else is.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong.
Yeah.
What's wrong is that like
should never be in a position where you find out
Yeah.
about your work
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It being
through
used,
anybody other than your fucking work.
And to be fair, it's not a final thing or anything like that.
No.
It's all but still, where's the slippery slope and where does it end?
Right.
don't start. You
Yeah.
can't start training it without asking.
Right.
That's
Yes.
where I'm at.
Yeah,
with it,
right.
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 Like.
But had they though, or were they just talking about it?
No. She came out and like was straight up like,
Okay.
"Hey, I didn't know about this."
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that's the article. The article is like
Gotcha.
I
she
didn't
saw
know.
it with everybody else like this.
Okay.
And she's
I didn't say that.
She's very
Yeah.
I think very measured in her
Yeah, she
response,
is.
frankly.
100%.
But like, yeah, I mean, shit. If they figure out cloning, I'm so busy. Like,
Right. I'll take Drew 2.
I'll take Drew 2 and Drew 3.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will gladly go and do that.
Right.
You make a clone without my consent, it will be my life's purpose to
Right,
make sure
yes.
that thing stops existing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not opposed. Like,
True Slayer.
It's there's just something.
But
to
what if
the-
you lose that fight?
Huh?
Oh, like Jet Li.
Oh,
How will you know
God.
if you lost?
How I won't probably. Yeah, it'd probably.
It'd be like,
Oh, dude, would the if would the clone also think that the clone was made with the original was made without its consent? Whoa.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me!
No, I think
This is pain.
first off, the world does not need any more of me. I just need I need more of me.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
No,
The audacity of you.
No, yeah, I don't.
We'll just give you some. We'll give you some. Machamp arms. Give you another set of arms. Good to go.
That would be
Yeah.
cool.
I will.
That I'd take.
Right,
I'd take some robot arms.
Yeah.
Champ arms, especially.
Yeah, robot Machamp arms. Hell yeah. I think that it's a really weird time to
What a
navigate
time.
all this, and I think it sucks that artists are the ones that are having to figure it out first,
Isn't it always?
and
the
not
creatives,
like,
though?
Yeah.
and frankly, not like middle management, my normal day job, like middle management people that jobs probably could be like,
AI.
AI.
Yeah. Click this, put it in here.
Yeah.
Click this, put it in
You like
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can write a script for that.
I mean, you're always going to want the human element because,
you have backup.
because AI will stagnate. Like machine learning is learning through past experience. It's not innovation,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's not practical innovation.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Something needed to exist at one time in order for it to create something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Machine learning is effectively learning through failure, but at hyperspeed, right?
Yeah.
It's
Exponential rate.
and so machine learning guided by human expertise, that's where cool innovation is happening right now, where people are putting the models in and going like, what if this?
Right,
But I
yeah.
don't know that we'll ever see it do a what if this, right? I don't think we'll ever see it iterate originally. I don't think we'll ever see it compete in a way that's like new and exciting. We're just going to see it compete with itself in the same ideas over and over again. Like we all said, like It doesn't matter whether you're in Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever. They're all gonna sound the same. The voices all conglomerated in the same weird way.
Yeah.
It's humans that get out there and go like, man, fucking what if I throw Zorark in Hydreigon?
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah, what if you did that? Oops, all blissies!
yeah. Oops, all blissies!
Not testing grade anymore.
Huh?
Oh.
It's not testing grade anymore.
It's
It's still it's infant.
It's also all over the Japanese league as like Japan is playing the shit out of that deck right now.
I feel validated.
Yeah, you should feel validated. Because it's legit. Japan's playing it. Like it's in their standard and they are playing it and it is winning things. So I think we're yeah. Yeah, I mean like it's a weird time.
Yeah, it's all right.
It is a weird time.
It is.
Yep.
Let's do with
Speaking of
AI.
time.
Enough AI.
Speaking of times.
OG Rachel. Big dog. I forgot your AKA already. I'm not gonna lie
I
to you.
don't remember anymore.
Take us off, big dog.
All right. So with the new release of the Lorcana set,
Yeah.
I started thinking about like just getting myself back into deck building and getting everything going and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so I was just thinking about that, and I was thinking about why I'm always just kind of like on the fence about even getting super into being very competitive. Like I play at set champs, I like to play organized play. And it's weird because it's almost like I've had like this little like button that just flips and says like, you don't need to do that.
Right.
And so I started diving into why. Like, why is my brain thinking like, I don't need to get super, super into this? And as I like really thought about it, what I came to was my realization that being what I would consider very competitive or playing very competitively in this space is a two-pronged, not amazing space for me to be in.
Sure.
And the two prongs are centered both on the same thing of ego, which for me, because of my addiction history and my now sobriety, what I would say is that what kept me entrenched in my addiction was my ego.
Sure.
And this is where the two-prong happens. The first prong is always putting myself first and my drinking first.
Yeah.
So with a very competitive space comes a lot of time for you, and that's okay for plenty of people. What I know about me is that when I'm serious about something, I'm serious about something.
Locked in.
I was plenty serious about my drinking. And that may sound like I'm being silly, but I mean it in that, like, it was my job.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of putting me first in that capacity. And the other prong is the ego of comparing myself to others, which I've talked about before, in that I go to a place of, like, when I was still active in addiction, of like, well, I'm not as bad as that guy because I still go to work every day and I don't drive drunk, or whatever list of reasons I had to make myself feel like I was better than somebody else, right? Yeah. Better than other alcoholics,
Right? Yeah.
Right?
You function better.
Air quotes, right? Yeah, I function better.
Yeah.
So with that being said, when I get into a headspace of I'm going to be first or the best,
Right.
is when my ego starts to take the lead.
Sure.
And that means I'm going back to putting me first, combined with I'm better than you because I beat your ass today, and I'm better than you because I whooped your ass today. And if I didn't whoop their ass today, I'm going to go back to wanting to dive in even more.
Right.
And I spent the better part of 8 years always putting Rachel first.
Yeah.
And be damned whoever else took the brunt of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I think there is the capacity to be healthy in that space, and there's nothing wrong with taking time to do things or wanting to be good at them, what I recognize about myself is that it is a very slippery slope of diving into a headspace that I've spent the better part of 2 years deconstructing and saying, I need to not put me first in the ways that I have before.
Sure.
I put my sobriety ahead of things insofar as I won't go into places and spaces that make me go, this really makes me want to drink.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Within reason.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially,
completely.
you know, I can't avoid everything completely that makes me, you know, that's not the point. The point is that these two prongs put me in a world of I'm better than you and I don't need to care about how you feel.
Right, sure.
And when I get into that headspace, I don't really like me because that's when my ego is in charge. And I've hurt a lot of people with that ego.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that me.
Yeah.
Does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah.
Whether or
So-
not you, So that's why I've found that being the best is not what drives me to enjoy competition. And if I put myself in the, I'm going to be the best space, is when I start to go, oh, but I am the best.
Right.
And I can do whatever I want. That sounds like a dramatization of how I feel, but it's really not because it's where my headspace has been bad. So that's why when I compete in anything, my objective is not to be the best in the room or the best in the whatever category. Right. My objective is to be better than I was last time.
Sure. Yeah.
And winning for me categorically is not taking first place. Winning for me categorically is, did I do better than the last time I tried this thing?
Right.
And that's why I feel it's important for me to stay grounded in that space, at least in this era of my life.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to start. I've decided I don't want to start.
I'll
Okay.
start. I understand because it's a thing I've worked on. I'm not, you know, I don't know if y'all know this about me and y'all don't, but I'm actually really fucking mean. And
He says that a lot.
I've worked on it a lot, dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And competitively, and I've refound this part of me in practicing more and taking Milwaukee seriously. When I actually compete, it's real rough to keep emotions in check for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Because when things
Gotta be a killer.
right,
Yeah.
like when competition get tight,
Yeah.
I'm not this Tremayne anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't like that Tremayne.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that that's something that's. I feel like that's common enough for high competitors. Like I just feel like that's just you got to
Anger
lock
and
in,
losing.
focus, and take names, or you're not. I mean, it's not saying that. Sure. I think that regardless, that's less fun. Like winning's always fun, but like being so uptight and serious all the time kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to do it at some point if you're gonna be the best. You
Sure,
know,
yeah.
right? You know, the highest competitors in any sport are like that. They're locked in when they hit that field or whatever, or when they're training, they're locked in and doing all that stuff, or they're using so much of their time and spending so much of their life doing these things that I mean, it does become like you said, like that. But I don't know. It's just. I would get that way. I mean, I get that way too, and I get kind of irritated, like when I really want to play well, and then like, you know, Linkerbrock gives me something that I can't deal with,
Right.
you know, and I'm like, God, and then I get irritated, and then I'm like, you know, whatever, because I'm like I'm locked in and I want to do this, but at the same, it's I don't know. It's fucking cards, but yeah, but the sentiment is the same. Like whether you're high competing on a football field or a soccer, like you have to lock in and do these things in order to be the best, and you have to take it seriously, and it has to be your life. Otherwise, you don't hit that highest point. If you don't want to be a world champion of Lorcana, then I mean, I don't know. Like how serious do you have to take yourself to not want to be that, but still want to win on your weekends stuff?
Right.
And I think for me at least, the reason why I kind of hit the ground running for Milwaukee with that deck starting early, liking it early, being able to adjust it so much that I will know it by Milwaukee,
Sure.
and that I could just play it and not pay attention.
Right, sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
I can just
throw
kind of
the reps
shut
in.
brain
Yeah.
off because I can just play it like the back of my hand.
You know, yeah. I mean, you won't be able to shut your brain off, but I know what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
the
like-
lines will become second nature. The
Right.
sequences will become second
Yeah.
nature.
Right.
Like, yeah, you won't have the emotional or physical drain
Right.
because you're thinking of the solution for the first time.
Right.
You're recalling the solution for the
Right.
100th time.
Right.
And that's what the practice is for.
Right.
I'm desperate to hear your take
Why are you?
on this.
I mean, I'm not competitive at all. So. Yeah, I mean, let me just start by saying this: that there are levels to things in life,
Yeah.
and your happiness and soberness and relationships are far more important than cardboard cards.
Right.
Mhm.
Right? Or literally any other form of competition on the planet. Your happiness and your family and your friends and your relationships and your soberness, that's first, right?
Right.
So let me just start by saying that. But what I will say is that there is for sure like an inherent selfishness to high level competition.
Mhm.
And like, I'm gonna toot, but like I'm not gonna toot. I'm gonna toot
Don't
my
do it
own
near
horn.
me.
But like I was a professional athlete for the better part of 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I competed all over the world in CrossFit, and that required the same thing that it probably requires to be like excellent at a TCG, a high level player at a TCG, and that was every decision that I made in my life went into being a professional athlete.
Mhm.
Every single decision that I made, whether it was I'm packing a meal to come to Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Right.
Or I'm skipping out on this wedding or this bachelor party because I'm training
Gotta
for
get
this
enough
or whatever.
Mhm.
And actually, my wife said to me the other day, she was like, "It's so great that you and your little brother have like found this awesome relationship again."
Mhm.
And I'm like, it's crazy that those words are even said because like I put all of that second.
Yep.
And training came first.
Mhm.
And like the deeper that I dive, Lorcana works for me because it just works for my brain. There's like math involved and there's all that stuff. It just works for my brain. So like I'm decent at the game and I don't have to put like an immense amount of time into it. I
Sure.
played a lot and I love playing it,
Yeah.
but it's joy. It's not like high level competition
Right,
for me.
right.
Mhm.
When I go to set championships, yes, I want to win.
Yeah.
And like, but I don't think of it as like, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I beat you. I'm better than you. Right? I
Right.
think of it as just like, I just want to win. I'm doing the best that I can. I find joy in this game. I'm having every time I leave set championships, I'm like, it was so fun.
Pumped.
Right? And whether I win or lose. So, but yeah, I think that, a lot of the guys that are playing at like, regionals or winning at worlds or winning like the DLCs and stuff like that. I watched not a podcast, but a video of a guy talking about him putting 16 hours a day into the game for months.
That's fucking
That's
wild.
And it's
wild.
like, I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
That, like I'm at a point in my life, you're at a point in your life, different points, completely different points. Right. But it's just that you're at a point in your life where competition and the fun of the game and all that stuff, that's all second, third, fifth, right?
Right.
There's
Right.
things that are just more important. So I guess to just close on my point is, if you are a competitive player, great. Like
Yeah.
if that's what brings you joy, if you can find happiness in that, amazing. There is an inherent supreme selfishness in it, Like you can't be, if you're putting 16 hours into the game and then you're sleeping for the other 8 hours, you're not developing relationships, you're not doing anything else, right? You're putting yourself in the game first. So basically that's.
Yeah, so
Eat, sleep, game.
I am also a highly competitive person. Not in the same ways that Josh is, and also not in the same ways that you are. But at different points in time, different stages in my life, I've had to reflect on the same things that you were reflecting on now. I'm also sober. I've also been sober for a very long time. It is a huge part of my identity, and it is a huge part of my ego. I have found that was a healthy thing for me to put my ego into, right? Was the pride and the strength that I think it takes to exist in all of this soberly. And so that doesn't mean that I think that I am better than anybody,
Right.
but it's something that I'm very proud of myself for.
Sure.
And so that's what gives me the power to walk into any situation and go like, I'm glad you're having fun, but I'll never forgive myself. Right. And so one of the things that really, really, really was a form of therapy that I was not expecting it to be was starting CrossFit. And I expected at that point in time in my life in 2017, I weighed 240 pounds and got out of breath going up the stairs and just, it wasn't for me. I'm 5'6", so 240 is a lot.
Yeah.
And
I know I carried you.
I know you carried me the first day.
Get upstairs, John.
I was going
That's
into the
actually
gym.
Spot.
Yeah, spot on. I was going into the gym to get my body back. I did not think I was going to be getting my mind back as a part of that process.
And a best friend.
And a best friend. No, I mean,
Now, Keith.
and I none of this is to be like, I actually don't really do CrossFit anymore. And I'm not downing it by any stretch of imagination. I think the modality is great and gets a lot of people in some of the best shape they've ever been in their life. So this isn't to be a campaign ad for that by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, quite the controversy. Fuck CrossFit right now. But as a company, however,
As a 37.
what I will say is what I learned in that competitive space was how to want to be better and want to be the best and simultaneously accept that progress isn't linear. And the only way to be the best is through a series of failures and a series of short-term goals, right? So the goal right now is not to go win Milwaukee, right? That's asinine to come out the gate and do. The goal can be to win a regional, but it isn't Milwaukee. Milwaukee's going to be my second one ever, right? There's a level of delusion if I go in running a game store, having a toddler, being a dad, and going...
You don't have 16 hours a day.
I don't have 16 hours a day. I don't have 16 hours a day. But you know what
16 minutes.
But you know what I... yeah, I got 16 minutes. But you know what I do have? It's time and commitment. And so that 16 hours a day parses out differently for everybody, right? And the one thing that CrossFit, competing in CrossFit, and 16-year-old Drew that is looking around at a world and a scene that he's a part of and an act that he's taking a part of and going, I'm done with that. I need something different in my life if I'm going to make it to 22 or whatever. And the thing that at the time 30-year-old Drew was able to look and see in and being 240 and being out of weight, not being able to play with his kid is, I'm done with that. I need something different in my life if I'm going to think. Is that like each one of those small goals, each one of those things when I took on sobriety inside of a scene that was very prideful about their sobriety and very we touched on this, I think, when we talked about CM Punk, but I am straight edge. I've claimed straight edge since 2001. And I will die being straight edge. And when I said that, as a 16-year-old kid, the 18 and 20-year-old kids that were in that circle called me, my nickname used to be New Jack Drew. And they all thought I was faking the punk. They thought I was doing it for the scene and I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. And I never was. I was always doing it for me. I know, I learned then, and I learned through further things, that I will work not 16 hours a day harder, but I will work harder and longer and be committed to whatever it is that I'm putting my commitment to more than anybody I know, right? My commitment might change. I might decide I don't actually want that in the same way that I thought I did. And I give myself the space and the time and freedom to do that, right? Do I still want to go to the CrossFit Games? No. But that's not because I don't want to be extremely fit. That does not because I don't want to be at that level of fitness again in my life, Yeah. 3 years ago, I was much fitter than I am now. Much, much fitter than I am now. Probably stronger, maybe strong. I don't know. Certain things I'm stronger at right now. Probably my bench I know is better than it ever was at that point in time. My deadlift's probably better than it was at that point in time. But like general fitness level is not where it was. But it's not over. Right? Like I don't subscribe that I'm on some sort of downward trend. Right now, my focus and my time and effort that I was putting all into fitness is to making sure that my toddler has everything that she needs and that this store and this community has everything that it needs. And that competitive ego can still exist for me and I can be second or third. Right? Like right now, that's what I'm living my life as third, right? Like what Risa needs is first. Obviously, what my children need, but toddlers need a lot.
Sure.
Can't just put them in a room by themselves.
You can't just put them in a room by themselves. And not that you should put your kids in a room by themselves, but my older daughter can come and like partake in this with me. And she's at a different stage, right? Where like, this is also hers too, where I have to change those things. And then this, like this is a different beast. But all of it is that same competitiveness. All of it is that same thing. And so like when we talk about going to Milwaukee and doing great, my goals for Milwaukee is a stepping stone to right now. Yeah, I'm not competing just to see how I'm doing. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I want to win worlds, right? Like am I good enough to do that? No, fuck no. That'd be like stepping up to a 500-pound deadlift bar, and the last time I ever deadlifted was 150 pounds, just being like, I'm gonna do it. Like, no, I'm gonna wind up in the fucking hospital.
I really thought you were gonna say a 500-pound male silverback gorilla, but
basically the same thing. You're gonna wind up equal levels of fucked up. Right? Like it's about 150 to 160 to 165 to 170 to 180. And that's what the gym taught me in my brain, that I never and then 165. Wait, what was different?
Right, yeah.
Oh, I didn't sleep as much last night, or I ate like shit Saturday and Sunday and Monday instead of just Saturday, right? I gave myself an extra cheat day, and that was the impact of this.
Then you get to 300 and you're like, oh, there's this different phase of my life that I need to now attack, and my deadlift's going back to 200, but that doesn't mean that I can't in a few years
be 325.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with 200 for 12 versus 300 for 2.
There's not like, and there's different ways to look at it, and there's different goals. And the other thing that's always going to be true is that it's always been about the journey.
Yeah.
It always is. Yeah. Because I've never once met anybody, any competitor that got the goal that they were setting for, that small goal. That final goal they call it moving
Yeah.
the goalpost
Yeah.
for a fucking reason,
Yeah.
because that is always what's going
not
to
the-
happen. You either go, all right, on to the next thing, right? You either go and in 10 years from now win a regionals and then go on and win a worlds, and then compete, continuing to do it, because the goal will be, I want to repeat, I want to
Yeah.
three-peat, I want to,
Now you get that first trophy and you just disappear.
or you do, and you,
There you go.
you go like, I did it, I'm on to the next thing. I want to
Yeah.
do this I want to switch. I'm going to switch to video game now.
Sure.
I want to see if I can do that, or I do that and I go, well, fuck it. Now let's go back to, functional fit. What's Fikowski's thing called? The World Fitness Organization or whatever the thing everybody's quitting for. But like, I
Double
think,
Jim, what?
I think,
Oh, Jim.
I think accepting that you're always just competing against yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like, even in team sports, you are coming out there to be the best version of yourself for your team, and you got to be better than you were the time before and better than the time you were. We talk about the greatest of all time in games. Is it LeBron or is it
Yeah.
Jordan?
Right.
But the fact of the matter is if you put LeBron out by himself and he has got to play against 5 people, LeBron loses every time. Right? You put Jordan out every time. So like LeBron's got to come out and be LeBron for LeBron's team, and Jordan's got to be, and they might be some of the best players
Key
to
players,
play the game. But even in team sports, your goal is to come out and be the best version of yourself
Right.
that you can be right then. And the same for competition for me. And the reason that competing at a high level is that for me is that I'm also not looking to punch down ever. Never looking to walk into the room and be like, I'm gonna win. What the fuck's the point in that? Right? Like, how do I know if I got better? Right? Like, you know what? I could do that here every Saturday and just match up against like kids that it's the first time they've ever played the game and beat the pants off of them and be like, I'm the best Pokemon player in here.
Don't come back here.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? What mountain did you climb? It's about losing. It's about like going out there and getting. It's about Link throwing something at the table and going like, you can't beat this, and you going, fuck, I can't.
Right. Yeah.
And then coming back to the table and going, do that again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can.
Which
right?
kind of flows back to your point of it's about the journey, right?
Yeah.
And I've felt that in the CrossFit thing. Like, yes, I got to compete in Brazil at a competition. That was cool. You know what's cooler is 4 of my best friends I met because of CrossFit. You know what I mean? And like the Lorcana thing. Yeah, I won a few set championships. That's cool. Guess what else? Like I made Rachel was my friend in Lorcana before, and Chad and all these people that I met, like these friends that I made, like that's winning. That's winning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it can all be in pursuit of some sort of trophy or glory or whatever that happens at the end of that. And that's okay too. It is okay too. It is okay. And you're right, there is a level of selfishness, but it's okay to have that when it's attached to the joy.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And when it's aware.
Yeah.
And when there is a self-awareness. And I hear what you're saying too about the losing yourself and losing the awareness of yourself to it being what you're afraid of doing.
There's also a vanity component attached to that for me.
Yeah.
Which is just like, what I mean by that is like, oh, and by the way, and look at me.
Gotcha.
And like, that's something that I've really deconstructed over the course of several years. Even before I like decided I wanted to quit drinking. And like, again, there's a I've done a lot of destruction being vain, and I'll just leave it at that. And
Shine
like
bright like a
that,
diamond.
that is something too that I'm always like, I need to be careful over here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's something I don't ever want to do or be part of, right? Like I still enjoy competing, and there's of course a satisfaction in winning and performing well, and I love it. Otherwise, I wouldn't play. But there's a certain element of me being cognizant of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why am I competing? why am I in this? Am I in a headspace that's good in
Yeah.
this arena, or am I in a bad one?
Mhm.
Right. And so that's what I mean when I say it's a slippery slope.
Right.
Is that why am I doing the things am I doing, and am I behaving in a way that I want to represent?
Yeah.
And am I going down a road that's a little icky, where icky Rachel takes the lead, and we don't want to see her. She's not cool. I don't like her. Right? Like, and
Right.
so that's it for me too. Is it? And that's a journey about my own growth.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you say it's for the journey, it like really made me smile, because it's about, for me, recovering the pieces of myself
Sure.
that I feel are much more. You will like this Rachel
Yeah.
best, I promise. And I like this Rachel better, and I promise that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Um,
And then those days that you win, you get that feeling of like today was my day,
right.
instead of I'm better than everyone in this fucking room.
Right.
You know, it's like no, today was
Today was my day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's great. I think that the awareness is great. I also think that the awareness is a strength that you are forming and working on each time you you touch the darkness to be released, right?
Right.
Like to
Gotta know
quote a
it's there.
hardcore song.
Right, yeah.
Like you sometimes you got to, right?
Right.
Like you won't actually grow like with addressing an anger issue or addressing a vanity issue if you avoid things that make
Yeah.
you angry or avoid things that make you feel vanity.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll only grow
by wading in the waters.
by approaching them
Right.
and having that awareness to go, I'm not ready yet.
Yep.
Right? This is overwhelming for me, so I need to take a step back. Doesn't mean this is overwhelming for me, so I can't do it ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And I think that that's what's beautiful about what you're saying. Like, I like the competition. But right now, for me, it's this, right? It's cooking. It's being good or better than I was the last time, or being able to deconstruct where I'm at. I think that's super healthy. I think that's what it's about. I mean, that is what the competition always is,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
always to become better, and hopefully to become a better holistic person along that journey. And it's weird. I do feel like in some ways we're over dramatizing like cardboard cards
Right,
and
yeah,
a
sure.
thing,
Yeah.
but like,
I mean, that form of competition is just as important as for some people. I would argue that Pokemon is just as important as basketball is to LeBron. Right?
oh, for sure.
Right.
Like, so I don't think you're over dramatizing it at all.
I think anybody that's been in a highly competitive space has seen the emotions and how real they are,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, it does. We do joke and be like, it's a card game for children,
Yeah.
right? It's nice to have that ego touch point to
Right.
go like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, like
Right.
what
It
am
is-
I
calm down.
It is
what
not
am I
that
being
serious.
so mad about?
Right.
But it is that serious if you've got the bright lights on you and
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
$15,000 on the line.
Sure.
That's a
Right, yeah.
$15,000 decision, right?
Right.
It's a $15,000 decision to play the Mew onto your bench or
Right, yeah.
or whatever you do. Like everything's a mistake. And those emotions, more whether it's on the big stage or the big light or at a community event, the emotions you're feeling in that moment are real. And that's part of what's happening in these spaces.
Right.
You see, like you said, like I've noticed I'm touching the part that makes me mean, right?
Yeah.
But are you being as mean as you were in less competitive spaces? And if the answer is no, you're not, you're doing something harder and more emotionally intense, and you're not, that's fucking growth. Like that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's my relationship with my anger issues is not whether or not I'm getting angry. My secret is I'm always angry, right? Like the issue is like how much stress, how much stuff, what am I able to do? How angry am I able to feel before I think?
Yeah.
And when I do feel angry and I do lose touch of who I am and who I want to be, am I justifying it or am I correcting it?
Right.
Right? Those are the different things.
Right.
Again, that I think that's all. It's
Stress management
it's
4.0.
It's all part of what you're learning and doing every time you step to a table and
So
go,
be competitive or don't be competitive. Just try and be a better version of yourself at the end of it all, and enjoy the fuck out of it along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey.
Better version you will be.
And I think that's the perfect way to lead us off.
I think so too.
Enjoy the journey, people. It's not about where you start. It's not about where you end. It's about how you got either place.
It's about how you finish.
About where you're going.
Ooh, I think you had it before.
You had it.
And then you lost it. Just
Yeah.
It's about where you finish.
no, it's getting
Who?
It's about who
It's
finishes you.
darker
It's about who
and
finishes you.
and
It's about who finishes you, right?
no.
No. Okay. This is ending just as well as it started.
Yes! What's up, hey? It's been a great time. It's been the SydeCast. I have been your host. I'm just gonna go Tremayne last because I started complaining about hot honey really fast. So it's been Tremayne. Any final thoughts, words of association?
Wait, Chipotle
Wait,
is hot
wait.
honey? If you haven't tried the hot honey at Chipotle, it's fucking fire.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah, my boy.
Bye!
How do we end on hot honey?
I can bring it back.
We started.